We believe he transported at least one of our Fairfax County victims in a shopping cart as well. To learn more about Robinson, we have solicited the support of the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit and the FBI's Washington Field Office. We've also partnered with authorities in Robinson's home state of New York and the Harrisonburg, Virginia Police Department. Additionally, we are working on a victimology profile and hoping to get in contact with other women who may have interacted with Robinson. Just this week, our detectives met with 35 other police departments in the DMV to comb over existing missing person cases to determine if any commonalities exist. Cheyenne interacted with Robinson on the Plenty of Fish dating app. It is believed that Robinson used the Plenty of Fish dating app to lure his victims. We believe Robinson has also used the Tagged dating app. Tagged is Tagged. Our major crimes detectives are looking for anyone who may have interacted with Robinson on these dating apps or any other dating apps. We believe there are others who have had contact with Robinson who can provide crucial information to us about him. Our detectives located the bodies of Cheyenne and Stephanie after the Moon Inn Motel produced a receipt that showed Robinson staying at the motel on the same day Cheyenne went missing. Detectives have since combed through thousands of paper receipts looking for additional information about Robinson staying at the motel, and we have found that Robinson has stayed at the Moon Inn Motel on at least 5 other occasions, and we need to know more. I'm going to turn it over now to the Bureau Chief of our Major Crimes Bureau, Major Ed O'Carroll, and he'll give some additional information, and then we'll stand ready for questions.
Thank you, Chief. As introduced, I'm Major Ed O'Carroll, Bureau Chief of Major Crime, Cyber, and Forensics, Fairfax County, Virginia Police Department. I, too, extend my heartfelt condolences to the families of these victims. These are horrible tragedies. Cheyenne Brown, Stephanie Harrison were amazing women. They did nothing wrong. Both loved by families and our community. Our detectives have not stopped working since we were first notified of this case on December 7th. Just this week, we received a tip, a critical tip, that our person of interest may be linked to another case where a woman was found deceased in a shopping cart in Washington, D.C. My detectives immediately contacted the Metropolitan D.C. Police Department to share this information. That deceased woman in a shopping cart was covered only with a blanket. We believe this may be Anthony Eugene Robinson's 5th victim. This is based on digital evidence that puts him in the same vicinity around the time of the victim's disappearance. Sad and tragic. Meanwhile, my detectives here in Fairfax County have combed through, and the chief mentioned it, through thousands of paper receipts from the Moon Inn. They have found receipts where Robinson stayed on previous occasions. This motel is located in the Alexandria section of Fairfax County on Richmond Highway. We are looking very carefully at each of these days to see if anything happened during his stay. As Robinson now spends his days quietly, probably warm and cozy, locked away in a Rockingham County jail, we are working around the clock. Our detectives have been working to uncover additional digital evidence to find out where Robinson was each and every day over the past year and beyond. We know a lot, but we do need your help about his habits to help uncover additional victims or survivors and to build a strong, accurate, and detailed case against Robinson. The last time I was at this podium to talk about this case, we asked for the public's help. Here we are, 21 days later, and we still need your help. We still need more information about Robinson. We received many phone calls about abandoned shopping carts in Fairfax County after the last press conference. But what we really need is information about previous contacts that any member of the listening public may have about Robinson. Because this case is not about shopping carts. It's about a serial killer who took the lives of innocent women. So no matter what jurisdiction you live in, if you had contact with Robinson, we urge you to contact the Fairfax County Police Department or your local law enforcement agency if you think you can help. We want to know if there's any additional victims or survivors out there. If you have information, contact the Fairfax County Police Department's Major Crimes Bureau directly at 703-246-7800. Tips can also be submitted anonymously through our Crime Solvers program at 1-866-411-TIPS. And those contacting Crime Solvers can remain anonymous, and there is a cash reward program for information that leads to additional charges. But I do want to take this moment and a very special thanks to our detective team, our lead detective, Detective Young, who has worked nonstop on this case. To Captain Wallace, who's in the room, the commander of our major crimes team, thank you. To your staff, to our entire Fairfax County homicide unit, our crime scene detectives, all the staff, sworn and professional, thank you. I want to give a heartfelt thanks in particular to our Victim Services Division, Director Fayez, thank you for being here, to your team who have been in constant contact with the families involved in these tragedies. So DNA technology has come a long way since I first started 32 years ago in this profession. And these cases are often built on science and technology. And a special thank you to a Fairfax County company, Bodie Technology. They're recognized in a professional laboratory right here in Lorton, Virginia, actually not far from here we are at Public Safety Headquarters. They stepped up to offer to prioritize and was able to confirm the identities of Cheyenne and Stephanie. It takes a team to solve a complicated case, complicated cases. In this strong partnership with Bodie Technology, all the law enforcement partners, and the chief mentioned all the agencies that have come together to work this case that we've been networking with, working together to hold the person responsible for what he did and how he did it. Once again, because it's extremely important, tips surrounding contact with Robinson are critical to this case. If you know anything about Robinson, again, please contact us. My detectives are standing by, 703-246-7800. And again, they can be submitted anonymously. As this case continues to progress, our commitment is to share as much information as we can to ensure the community is informed. And with that, myself and the chief will take any questions that you may have.
Sir, I have a couple questions. In relation to Stephanie Harrison, I know that you had stated that the victims, but you didn't give specifics, the victims met Mr. Robinson, the suspect, on the dating apps. Harrison's family tells me that she just happened to be in town at this hotel at the time and did not meet him on an app. Can you clarify that?
So I would say that is under investigation. We've been in touch with multiple family members. We're looking at this case scientifically through that digital footprint that we mentioned, and that particular point is still active.
Okay, so what is he charged with? Because I know about Redmond, Tamika, and then how many charges is he facing? 5 now?
So he currently is He's currently being held on 4 charges, 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of felony disposal of human remains. I will tell you that that number will go up, and those charges are in Harrisonburg, not in Fairfax. But that charge count with the case that we're working, cases that we're working, that number will rise.
Now, with this fifth person, you found remains. You found that in DC. My question is, have you identified relatives of the fifth person? And if so, will those relatives provide a DNA sample, which in turn would help identify this fifth victim?
I can tell you on our cases, our families have been supportive in this long process for identification. That case, the case I mentioned, the 5th case, that we, the law enforcement community that's working this case, believes that Anthony Robinson's connected to. That's a Washington, D.C. case. It's active with them. So my detectives, our detectives are not working that. The Metropolitan Police Department is.
So we're working with folks as far north as New York, and right now as far south as Harrisonburg. And it won't be too long that we will be able to identify everywhere he's been in between. So we're, the 35 law enforcement agencies that we gathered with just a few days ago to go over missing person cases, the FBI's behavioral analysis unit, they're working with us to help develop a victimology so we can start narrowing this down. I think the last time we were up here, we strongly speculated that there were likely more victims out there, and here we are. So just to reiterate what Major O'Carroll said, MPD is a world-class police department, and they are working hard right now on their case in the district. So we're all in this together in the National Capital Region and beyond, the DMV and beyond. So I think Anthony Eugene Robinson, I know, has our undivided attention, and thankfully he's incarcerated, and it gives us the ability to work backwards while he's still not out there killing. So the fact that he is awaiting trial in Harrisonburg, Virginia, allows us to continue to build our probable cause to charge him eventually here in Fairfax County, and allows us to collaborate with other jurisdictions where he may have been.
Chief, have you all sat down with him, perhaps go to his cell and asked him, are there additional victims? Has he provided any information to help with this investigation?
Well, you can imagine that we're taking all the necessary steps and beyond associated with murder investigation. So we are leaving no stone unturned when it comes to our examination of evidence, our interrogation of suspects, our interviews with witnesses, our interactions with family members. Our Victim Services Division just earlier tonight interacted with Stephanie's daughter, Destiny, who told us that her mom was a beloved mother and even a better grandmother. She was the kindest person and helped everyone and would give you her last dime. So that came from Destiny, who's Stephanie's daughter. Cheyenne's mom, we've interacted, the Victim Services Division, our homicide detectives have interacted with Cheyenne's family, and her mom said that she wanted everyone to know that Cheyenne had a huge heart, and she was trusting and thought of everyone as her friend. So those are from the family, and we're intimately involved with the family, and again, we're leaving no investigative stone unturned as it pertains to Anthony Eugene Robinson, to witnesses, to places where he may have been, he may have traveled, and to other jurisdictions that have come into contact with him.
But is he providing any information?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into those particulars of this ongoing active investigation. Again, I want to reiterate that we collectively share with our colleagues in law enforcement a sigh of relief that Anthony Eugene Robinson is behind bars. So he's not out there killing now. But we have to continue to furiously work to bring closure to families and survivors and loved ones for other crimes, horrific crimes, like Major O'Carroll said, that he committed against these women.
The case in the district, I understand MPD's handling that. Can you tell us at all when that discovery was made and possibly where in the district?
Yeah, so I had a brief conversation tonight with Chief Conti He and I have known each other for decades, and the urgency and the importance that they've assigned to their death investigation is something that I think they've already made a comment about or a statement about. So I would just encourage you to continue to interact with MPD officials, but know that MPD, Fairfax County, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and many other police departments in between are actively communicating about Anthony Eugene Robinson and examining, in particular, missing females who may fit the victimology profile of our 4 victims.
Have you guys had any indication from Robinson at all of him being remorseful at all for what he did? Any indication from other law enforcement agencies from what he's told you guys if he feels remorseful at all about his actions?
Well, I think there may be a point in time in the future where we're able to discuss those particular details. The curiosity surrounding serial killers is not lost on us. We're just as curious as anyone else, and we need to find answers, but we have to do so methodically and in a way that doesn't compromise the integrity of the investigation or the ability of prosecutors to bring justice to families. So there are some questions, many questions actually, that we just can't answer yet. But as we continue to talk about Anthony Eugene Robinson in the future, we imagine we might be able to shed some light on some of those questions.
Chief, do you believe, I'm sorry, who was going to say something? Oh, thank you, sir. Chief, do you believe that the suspect is connected to a total of 5 murders?
So-
Or is it 4 and possibly 1? We gotta
What-
get the numbers straight. There's a lot of victims here.
Sure. So what we know is that Anthony Eugene Robinson is charged in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and awaiting trial for 2 murders. Anthony Eugene Robinson is also our primary and singular suspect in the murders of Stephanie and Cheyenne. We are continuing to collect evidence, and we anticipate criminal charges in the future. What we also know, and again, this is very active and present tense, is that our colleagues in Washington, D.C., the Metropolitan Police Department, is in the process of a death investigation where they're looking at similar circumstances that may lead in the future for them to make an announcement regarding their case.
Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
real quick, I'm sorry. So Cheyenne was reported missing on September 30th. Was MPD able to reach out to you guys? She was reported missing as critical in DC. Was MPD able to reach out to you guys and let you know that they were looking into this as a homicide?
So here's what I do know. We've been working with MPD on our cases. We share information, intelligence, evidence. We have been working with MPD just like we've been working with Harrisonburg, Virginia PD. So while I don't yet have a timeline to share, we again may have that to share in the future because I know it's the curiosity surrounding when he interacted with his victims is something that everyone wants answers to include the police department. So we're continuing to develop that, and we anticipate in the future we'll be able to shed even more detail. I would again remind everyone that before Anthony Eugene Robinson is charged with crimes in Fairfax, we anticipate that's forthcoming. But we're putting it out there now because we need any survivor, like Major Carroll spoke about, who may have interacted with him and escaped, to contact us. And we believe there are survivors out there. So that's why it's important for us to say his name, Anthony Eugene Robinson, to say that he used dating apps and to name those dating apps. It's important for us to do that so people can reflect upon any interactions they have had or their loved ones and friends have had with him, because we need that information. This is still very active, very present tense, and we remain very determined to continue to dig deep and get to the bottom of this.
Were you able to get in contact with any of Cheyenne's family members? Just lastly on the follow-up on the missing case.
So, well, Cheyenne's family has been in contact with homicide detectives, major crimes, victim services specialists, and our interactions with Cheyenne's family are ongoing, just like our interactions with Stephanie's family. And they're on the West Coast, obviously, but we're in constant contact with them as well. Tough case for the victims' families and friends and loved ones, and we want to do everything we can to bring them some sense of justice and closure over time. but this is still ongoing. Thank you.